The reason you're hard stuck is most likely because of a combination of bad habits making you a less consistent player. That's why I'm going over the 10 bad habits you need to stop doing if you want to improve and rank up. The first bad habit is waiting for the perfect opportunity. What I mean by this is, for example, holding on to abilities, ultimates, and even your position for a long time, just waiting for that perfect moment. I know you want to get a 5-man kill on the enemies pushing with your race ult, but consider taking that free kill instead. This can be applied to almost every scenario in Valorant. It's generally a good idea to be safe rather than sorry, and remember that getting even just one single kill can change the outcome of a round, so don't wait and wait for that perfect moment instead of taking guaranteed value. The second bad habit is autopiloting, and the best way I can describe this would be playing without any intention. You don't know what agent or position you're gonna play, you don't have a warm-up routine, you don't think of why you're pushing areas, etc. You always, and I mean always, want to have a reason for what you're doing. Why are you pushing after 20 seconds of holding a site? Is it because you analyze the team's comp, notice that they don't have any traps and taking the calculated decision to push? Or is it because you got impatient and said screw it? There's a very important distinction between these two, and it's crucial to break the habit of autopiloting quickly if you truly want to improve. It's gonna be hard to have a reason for everything you do at first, but try focusing on the most important things like your agent and position. Something like which angles you clear and in which order is less important, but still play a role and should be considered when you do get better. The next bad habit is worrying about small details, like for example specific settings or wallbangs. Look, the reality is that unless you improve on the fundamentals like game sense, aim and movement, you won't rank up. Learning some fancy wallbangs or trying to find the best possible crosshair is most likely just going to be a waste of time. It's like trying to get in shape, but instead of being in the gym, you're browsing the internet trying to find the best new supplement. Can supplements help? Yeah, but you won't get anywhere without actually training. And it's the same thing in Valorant. Unless you have unlimited time, you want to spend the bulk of your time playing the actual game and learning from your mistakes. Stop being caught up in all the small details, because the harsh reality is that you're not going to magically rank up from changing your crosshair. The next bad habit is not defaulting often enough. I'd rather see you default every single round than you doing it only a few times a game. Unless you're truly steamrolling the enemies and pushing a site and have no problems doing so, I'd rather see you defaulting most of the time. Defaulting is so powerful because you're gaining a lot of map control and at the same time not allowing the enemies to get any info. So when you decide to push a site, you'll be able to do so very quickly and without giving the enemies any time to rotate. When you do decide to push, your enemies will most likely have wasted a lot of utility and might not even have any smokes or mollies left, so you're at an even bigger advantage. You also just need one single enemy to get a little bit impatient and push you, to give you the first blood and increase your chances of winning the round dramatically. Not peeking enough using A and D is the next bad habit keeping you hard stuck. A lot of people think they need to aim like crazy to start fragging out, without realizing that it actually might be their movement holding them back. And peeking is usually the biggest culprit here. It's very common for people to simply use W when pushing a site, without jiggling anything. You wanna mix up your peaks and use the one that best suits the situation you're in. Sometimes wide peeking won't be the correct choice, but sometimes it will. At times you'll need to use W to peek because you're short on time, but that should be rare. You wanna build up the habit of using A and D most times you peek somewhere, as this allows for quick peeks where you're fully in control. You can peek and go back as quickly as you want to, and at the same time as you're accurate and can choose which angles you want to peek. An easy way to train this and train your aim at the same time is by going into death matches and only using A and D to move at the same time as you try to one-tap people. Changing the way you peek will get you way more kills. Being too greedy and giving away 1v1s is the next bad habit. And this is something that I still struggle with from time to time, but I believe it's one of the main mistakes that separates semi-high ranked players and high ranked players. If you after getting a few kills have the patience to sit back and hold instead of getting greedy and continuing pushing, then that's gonna separate you from most players. This is especially important when you have the man advantage. The easiest way to lose a round you're supposed to win is by peeking the enemy that's alive one by one instead of going at him all together, minimizing the risk of him surviving. So learn how to not get greedy and give away free kills. The seventh bad habit is being too stubborn and not switching up the way you play if things aren't going well. This includes switching sides if you can't hold it, being more or less aggressive depending on what's working, etc. You might always hold B site on a map, but if you're getting pushed and killed there multiple rounds in a row, then you're probably better off switching and letting someone else try holding there. Ego is one of the main reasons people are stuck at their rank, and it's actually really easy to fix a lot of times. And one of the best ways you can do that is by being willing to adapt when things aren't going well. The next bad habit is improperly clearing angles. The two main mistakes will be soft clearing, which is when you don't fully clear an angle but just glance over at it and maybe turn your crosshair a bit towards it, and the other mistake is hard clearing all angles. It's fairly common to hear people talk about how you shouldn't soft clear angles, but rarely do I hear people speak about the opposite being bad as well. Now yes, I would probably agree that soft clearing is usually going to cause more problems, but hard clearing might actually be more common. I feel like soft clearing is usually done by people with a lot of confidence that for some reason believes that no one is sitting in that angle, while hard clearing is done by noobs who want to make sure that all angles are fully clear. And these two mistakes are valid in some ways, in the way that you don't want to spend too much time clearing angles, but you don't want to let people be hiding in positions either. So my solution to this is simple. Soft clear angles that are very uncommon and hard clear the ones where people usually sit in. Another very important thing to keep in mind in order to choose which positions you want to clear and how is the risk of you clearing that said position. Clearing the corner in B main ascent is very low risk since you have a wall behind you, so unless you're short on time, there's really no reason for soft clearing that corner. While hard clearing some position while running towards a site with only a short amount of time left is very risky and probably not a good choice. This is also why I recommend having a set way of entering sites. I won't talk about that in this video, but basically just have a plan when pushing somewhere. This is gonna make it easier to build up a habit of knowing which angles to clear and in which order. Not questioning why you're losing or not ranking up is another bad habit. It's easy to blame factors that are outside of your control for the reason you're not ranking up, such as the people you play with, but the reality is that there has to be something off with your gameplay, otherwise you'd be raiding by now. So try assessing your situation using facts and logic, and you'll see some real improvement coming your way. You don't have to ask yourself why you died every single time, but VOD reviewing on a regular basis and trying to make yourself an overall more consistent player is going to be key to ranking up and improving. The next bad habit keeping you hard stuck is not having a main or switching mains too often. A lot of people for some reason hate insta-lockers, but the reality is that insta-locking is the best way to improve and rank up. If you focus on improving at 1 or maybe 2 agents at a time, then you're gonna achieve a high level of competence with that agent way faster than if you picked, for example, 5 agents. You'll learn exactly how to hold sites, push sites, retake and use your abilities in the best way possible. And that's gonna take ages if you wanna have an agent pool of 5+ agents. If you're not sure about which agent is a good fit for you, then check out my video on finding a good main that's on the screen right now. See you there.